evening. Thank you all for coming. Okay, board president to advise members of the audience that they may address the board regarding agenda items after the superintendent's report. Welcome, Mr. Carpenter. Only those members whose names and addresses are listed on the sign-in sheet available prior to the start of the meeting will be recognized during new business. The chairperson will limit discussions on any item by the public to 3 minutes in order for the board to expeditiously conduct its business. Mr. Manton.
Good evening. I am pleased to report to the board that our students continue to make us proud for their accomplishments and contributions to our district and community. Tonight we'll be recognizing several students for their accomplishments as they continue to demonstrate the work ethic and commitment that exemplifies the pride. The first group of students I would like to introduce is our high school performers involved in the school musical this spring. These students have been working on the spring musical production, Catch Me If You Can, since December. Tickets are on sale for their upcoming performances on March 23rd, 24th, and 25th. This is a public service announcement. At www.eihsboxoffice.com. Did I get that right, Mrs. Ackley? Okay, good. The musical number you're about to see is called Don't Break the Rules. It will be performed by senior Tristan Hurt, who plays FBI Special Agent Carl and Ratty, along with 9 other students who play FBI agents in the show. Enjoy the sneak peek.
Hey, Ray, were you always like this?
I think I was born this way. Other kids wanted to play cops and robbers. I only wanted to play cops. It starts very early. Once the baby toys are gone, a kid on the playground has to choose what side he's on. If the bullies or the good guys, boy, there ain't no middle ground. The fools try to blur the line and twist the truth around. Then they call themselves a winner, but they're self-deceiving fools. 'Cause the game ain't worth winning if you're breaking all the rules. The law is laid upon us when as kids we first ask why. Our parents set the rules when 'cause I said so, they replied. And though I thought I hated them and screamed with all my might, the next time that I had a choice, gee whiz, I did what's right. No, I never snuck a drink, I never stole a pack of cools. 'Cause the game ain't worth winning if you're breaking all the rules.
Don't break the rules.
Or else we're living in the wild, wild west.
Don't break the rules.
God's keeping score, and you don't want to fail that test.
Don't break the rules.
You thumb your nose right at the life for which I strive.
But those rules, those laws keep us alive.
Let's start it back with Moses when he led around the Jews.
The Jews.
And climbed way up that mountain to pick up God's daily news.
Tell me the news.
He slept up on Mount Sinai, cried and begged on their behalf. He almost dropped those tablets when he saw that golden calf. Now we teach the 10 Commandments every Sunday in our schools. 'Cause the game ain't worth winning if you're breaking all the rules. I guess the Constitution, boys, some is too complex. They think of founding fathers fought so they could afford some checks. They see themselves as Robin Hood, stealing from the rich. Not paying back the things they take. Well, payback is a bitch. 'Cause the world ain't Sherwood Forest. You can't get away those jewels. And the game ain't worth winning if you're breaking all the rules.
Don't break the rules.
Or else we're living in the wild, wild west.
Don't break the rules.
God's keeping score, and you don't want to fail that test.
Don't break the rules.
You thumb your nose right at the love for which I strive.
But those rules, those laws keep us alive.
When you steal somebody's money, screw his daughter or his wife, you don't think of repercussions as you tap dance through your life. You smile like you're a hero,
You're an outlaw through and through.
but the odds are in life they man.
One day I'll catch you.
So they sneak into a movie, throwing like sense of life. It's more a stranger to me, you're either guilty or
Breaking all the rules, or else we're living in the wild, wild west. God's keeping score, you don't wanna fail a test. You thumb your nose right at the life for which I strive. But those rules, say what? Again, boys, keep us alive.
Thank you, great job. We're looking forward to seeing the show, and please come out and support. Tickets are on sale. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Great, at this time, I would like to invite Mr. Bernard to the podium for this next recognition. He will now introduce our Coca-Cola scholars from program semifinalists.
Thank you, Mr. Manzo. That's a tough act to follow. Another round of applause for our So each year, the Coca-Cola Scholars Program is an achievement-based scholarship awarded to students in their final year of high school. Students are recognized for their capacity to lead and serve, as well as their commitment to making a significant impact on their schools and communities. This year, East Islip had 2 students who were recognized as semifinalists. Reaching this level distinguishes these students as extraordinary leaders in their school and community. Over 91,000 students applied for this national program, and only 1,557 were recognized as semifinalists. One of our semifinalists is here with us this evening, Sarah Vasquez. Come on up. So Sarah and I had an opportunity to sit down and talk about the scholarship, and you know, one of the things that she provided me was a very extensive resume, and I picked out a few of the highlights of the resume. So Sarah is a volunteer for the exchange ambulance of the Islips. She is an emergency medical technician, and she responds to 911 calls and administers life-saving treatments. She's a youth group leader for the Trinity Lutheran Church, and she organizes food drives and food lines and coordinates fundraisers for them. In school, she maintains over 102 weighted average, and she participates in the Suffolk Community College Early College program. She also attends BOCES and is studying to be a clinical medical assisting. She also is involved in many extracurricular activities. She's the president of the Exchange Ambulance Youth Squad. She's the president of the Science Honor Society. She's the president of the Key Club. She's a captain of Emergency Medical Drill Team, and she's also a member of the World Language Honor Society. She has been recognized as a AP Scholar. She's nationally registered as an emergency medical technician, and in her free time, she also works as a medical assistant and a manager at McDonald's. So congratulations, Sarah. Congratulations, Sarah.
Thank you.
next recognition will be presented by Dr. Smith and Mr. Seifert. They will now introduce the first LEGO League Challenge students from our district. I would like to also acknowledge and thank Mr. Kamath and his team for their support for our students.
Good evening. It's an honor and a privilege to introduce Team LEGO Girls. Impressive engineers who I'd like to call up who have accomplished a tremendous amount and should be celebrated. JFK fourth graders, Jane Elliott, brave Jane, Sonali Kamath, and Antonia Reza competed on day one of the first LEGO League competition qualifier at Mineola High School in late January of this year. This was their first time competing in this league as the requirements are ages 9 to 14. At the qualifier, Team LEGO Girls were one of 29 teams competing. The competition consisted mostly of middle school teams from across Long Island, and Team LEGO Girls demonstrated their knowledge, experience in coding, robot design, creativity, character throughout multiple categories that they were judged in. At the end of the competition, they were #1 on the scoreboard. The team took first place for the robot performance and their core value presentation. Due to this win, the girls moved on to the first LEGO League Challenge Championship on March 5th at Hicksville High School. The competition consisted of the top 30 teams on Long Island. And once again, this incredible team placed in the top 5 for their robot performance and won 2 prestigious awards. The Zebra Award for showing evidence of gracious professionalism, which they show every day, and exhibiting core values, and the second award for engineering excellence, which recognizes an efficiently designed robot and innovative project solution that addresses the seasonal challenge, and great core values were evident in all they do. Team LEGO Girls was also one of 4 teams to be presented with an invitation to an upcoming out-of-state competition. Antonia, Jane, and Sonali truly demonstrated that with teamwork and dedication, you can do whatever you put your mind to. Congratulations, ladies. The sky is the limit for you engineers. EI Pride forever.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more.
Good evening, members of our Board of Education and the East Islip community. A terrific team of robotics engineers competed in the first LEGO League Challenge. The team, named the Galactic Jedi Spacebot Masters, includes East Islip Middle School students Nicholas Salvaggio, Sechin Kamath, and Mason Latino, with Luke Bruzo from Islip Middle School and Chris Sullivan from the Bridges Academy. The team won first place in robot performance and core value in the qualifiers at Mineola High School on the day they competed. The team also won third place in robot performance in the championship that took place last Sunday at Huntington High School. This means that this team placed third in all across all of Long Island and against the other 100 teams that competed. So congratulations, boys. A job well done, and you've made us proud. I know in speaking with you that you wanted me to thank your coaches for their inspiration, the opportunity to compete, and offer a special thank you for the use of the Salvaggio dining room table for all your designing and creating. Congratulations once again, folks.
ask Mr. Restivo and our wrestling coaches to come up to the podium. They will now introduce our Suffolk County champions and state qualifying wrestling team and their accomplishments.
Good evening, everybody. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate our varsity wrestling program. First of all, to the parents. It's been what a great season it was. I appreciate, and the student athletes, the coaches, we appreciate all that you do and your continued support for our wrestlers, from going from tournament to tournament on the island, going up to Syracuse, going to Albany, and that's only a few of the places. I'm sure there are many more. So how about a nice round of applause for our parents. To our coaches, thank you very much for all the time that you put in. Here we have several coaches that represent both the JV, varsity, and JV, varsity, and our youth program. Here in East Islip, the Kid Youth Program is one of the best ones around, and all of the hard work from our youth coaches and all the hard work that our student athletes put in from when they were in kindergarten, moving all the way up, and all of that hard work has paid off. So how about a nice round of applause for all of our coaches. Student athletes, you guys made me very proud this year as an athletic director. One of the most exciting events in my 13 years here is when you guys won the Suffolk County Division I championship at Bay Shore. The way the crowd was and the way you guys reacted, it was amazing. I really do appreciate it. And also, the way you conduct yourself, not only on the mat, but in the school and the community, shows what type of student athletes you are, and you are a real asset to our community in general. So how about a nice round of applause for our students. Coach Lombardi, unfortunately, is sick and he's unable to attend. So I'm going to hand the microphone over to Coach Esposito, and he's going to talk about some of the highlights from this past season.
Where's Longo, Coach?
Coach Longo would have made me talk anyway. All right. But first off, I'd like to thank the school board, the administration for having us here. I'd like to thank Mr. Restivo for all the support throughout the year, Mr. Manzo throughout the year. I know Mr. Dolan was always at practice and at matches and stuff showing up as well. The parents, you guys are unbelievable, all right? What these kids have to go through with the dirty laundry, the food prep, the make and wait, everything, the trips upstate, I say to these guys all the time, this is a special community, it's a special town. And it's the community like you, it's the parents like you guys that make it. And your dedication to the boys, to the team, only makes things easier on them, which helps them to achieve their goals. So from the bottom of my heart, from the coaches, from the team, we thank you, we love you, thank you so much for the tournaments. I get emotional. I'm an emotional speaker. This is a special group of young men and one young lady, and you know, what this sport entails is unlike any other sport. The dedication to it, the hours that go into it, the training that goes into it, it's the toughest sport mentally and physically by far. And what these guys were able to achieve this year is really unmatched, and it's unbelievable. They were completely undefeated from the first tournament. The only time we lost was upstate in the state dual meets, but where we took top 4, which is still an incredible achievement for these guys. On Long Island, they were completely undefeated, and when I say that, I don't say it lightly. It was dominant. It was dominant fashion throughout the entire season. We won every tournament we entered with the varsity lineup. We went undefeated league champions, and that went into the county duels. And in
when you win the counties in wrestling, it's different than other sports. It's not broken up into all these divisions and leagues and conferences. It's one, and it's pretty much every school out there, big schools, small schools, it's all kind of combined. And what these guys were able to achieve, and like Mr. Estivo said, that match at the first Brentwood for the county title was an unbelievable match. They tested us to the brink. Our guys stepped up in huge fashion, and it was an unbelievable experience for everybody that was there. I know most people in attendance there, a lot of people who've been into wrestling for many years said it was the greatest match they've seen in 30 years. And these guys triumphed, and they faced a lot of adversity, but they were able to achieve the goal that we put out for them. And like I said, the work that goes into it is unreal. So to be the dual meet champions, we then, challenged them and said, there's only been one team that's really won the dual meet championship and the county tournament championship. And you guys, and a lot of times it's hard to kind of, regroup and get the batteries recharged after you go through that state tournament experience upstate with the duels. And then we get to the individual stuff, and these guys were able to recharge their batteries. At the county tournament, it was a little rough sometimes, but the guys stepped up. We had 6 all-county guys. We had 1 champion, 6 total were all-county. I'm going to call them out in a second, but to get to the league tournament, we had 20 people placed in the league tournament, 20 all-league guys, which is a record for us. We had 8 league champions, which is also a record for East Islip. That brought us right to the county tournament, where we ended up with 6 all-county guys that ended up giving us the county tournament title as well, and kind of achieved that final goal for this squad here. But whenever you have a great season, you always want to have, finish it off right. And Sebastian Regis was the county champion for the 2nd year in a row at heavyweight in a dominant fashion, pinning everybody straight through. And we went over to the state tournament with 4 representatives, with Stephen Coleman, who took 3rd in the county, Anthony Avatabli, who took 3rd in the county, and James Sturrock, who took 2nd in the county and made the county finals at 189. So we, 4 guys got to go to the state tournament to represent East Islip, which is the biggest number we ever had. They wrestled fantastic. Unfortunately, some of them fell short of their ultimate goals, but Sebastian kind of put that exclamation point in our season when he stepped into the ring against the guy, that pinned him earlier in the year. His only loss of, this entire season. And Sebastian just out-wrestled him and did what he planned to do. He had a strategy. He was unbelievable. And Sebastian left with the state championship title, which was only the 4th person ever to do that in East Islip history. And when you win a state title, you get to wear the championship belt. All right? Took over this program about 9 years ago, and we had it was humble beginnings, okay? It was a little rough for many years to rebuild this program and to get it to where it is today. And I remember saying to Coach Longo, we need to get something to be positive at the end of matches. So we started the belt. It started with a $20 WWE replica from Target, and then it built over time to where we have the cool replica WWE belt now, and we give it out after every match to whoever was the MVP. And it's a special tradition now that we've been carrying on for 9 years, but Sebastian definitely earned that. We didn't have a chance to give it to him after he won the state championship, but it was a pretty amazing experience for everybody that was there. But like I said, I'd like to just kind of call out the league champions we had this past year. So it started with Dylan Aristides at 118 pounds. We had Matt Walsh at 126 pounds, twice, 2 years in a row, Matt Walsh. We had Logan Alfala at 132 pounds. We had Anthony Avatabli at 145 pounds. Stephen Coleman at 160 pounds. James Sturrock at 189 pounds. DeAndre Perez at 215 pounds. And Sebastian Regis was also league champion, obviously, at 285 pounds. You look at this group, and it's the reason you coach. It's the reason you coach. These young men and ladies, they do They do the right thing in school. They're high character kids. They do the right thing off the mat as well. This is a special group, and the camaraderie you see these guys have, it's the reason you coach, guys, all right? And coaches love you. I love you. Coach Longo loves you. I know he wishes he could be here. All County guys, I'm sorry, I didn't mess with Justin Shea was also an All County guy there. You know, Chris Trahey winning the way he did in the dual meet against Brentwood is something I'll never forget. In an overtime match that really put it over the top for us. That day was special. There's so many special things these guys achieved this year, and they deserve all the credit. And I just thank you guys for giving us your time and your commitment to this sport, your commitment to this team, because everybody that follows you has a lot to live up to. Thank you, boys.
Oh, yeah. Just a little. You guys could just come in a little bit.
Shorter guys get down. Yeah, you don't have to. Guys, you can go right out there.
Okay. And finally, we have Dr. Walawa, who will be presenting the last recognition for this evening, which are the AP Art Awards.
Thank you. Can I ask Lauren Holmes and Naomi Bukai to come up, please? So as they come up here, I will talk a little bit about the background of this. This is called Go APE, and APE stands for Advanced Placement Exhibition. And this is for AP art students only across Long Island. And this exhibition was held during February 4th through the 18th at the Art League of Long Island's Gallery of Jeannie Tengleson. This year, there were 40 high schools that participated and 136 AP art students, 4 of which were our high school students. One of the 8 awards of Elect Excellence was awarded to Lauren Holmes, and one of the 8 honorable mentions was won by Naomi Bukai. The reception was held in February, and the gallery is open to the public during the month of February. Here's a little bit of a background. So, Lauren, if you want to show your work so everybody can see your work here. Lauren is a second-year AP art student with a main focus on drawing and painting. She plans to attend Stony Brook University and major in art and join the cheerleading team. Lauren is a well-rounded student, and her artwork demonstrates her hard work, struggles, and commitment to cheerleading. The team was 6th in the Nationals and recently placed 1st in Suffolk. Her piece is titled Self-Portrait and is an allegorical still life drawing of objects that are personal to her, including one of her cheerleading medals. Naomi is a first-year AP art student who has an interdisciplinary focus in photography, digital design, painting, and embroidery. She has won the Gold Key Award for Scholastic Art and Writing Award for her piece titled Conscious Exploration. Last year, she won the Roberta Strent
Memorial Award from the Huntington Camera Club, who recognized her achievements in her photography portfolio. She plans to attend Purchase in New York State for interdisciplinary studies and visual arts with a minor in psychology. I'd like to introduce Naomi to speak about her work, depicting her personal experiences and struggles in relation to Freud's iceberg theory. Her art is historically appropriated and referenced. Naomi?
Thank you. Hello, my name is Naomi. This piece is a part of a body of work that I have been creating for a year in Mr. Figliozzi's AP art class. In this body of work, I explore my personal memories and experiences in relation to the subconscious mind. With this, I experiment with and explore materials, processes, and mediums to display conceptual imagery and specific symbols such as water, an iceberg, a heart, and self-portraiture. I would like to tell a story. In my freshman year, my day began with Mr. Figliozzi's design and drawing for production class. To this day, I can still remember the first day of high school as I stood there with my pink curly hair in a group of peers. We stared to Mr. Figliozzi as he read our names off one by one, assigning us to our tables. My name obviously being the last one called and having to sit at a light table next to Fig's desk. I cherish starting my day with an art class, drawing, chit-chatting, and creating memories. It was the most peaceful part of my day. 4 years have passed since that day, and a plethora of teachings, long-lasting memories, and conversations were created while sitting at that same very light table. Although I sadly have passed my pink hair stage, I am thankful to be in a place where I am growing into the young woman you see here today. I now have goals of continuing my education to attain a bachelor's degree in visual arts. I feel comfortable and prepared for this next step of my life, and I thank you all as this was made possible with the support of the East Islip community. In a few words, I would like to thank all of you for the support you continue to show to the visual arts. The East Islip Art Department is a special kind of safe space, where no matter how you identify as, what you have done in your past, or what your future may hold, you are welcome with smiling faces and open arms, where any student from any group can all find a safe place to show love for the visual arts. Thank you.
Good part's over, you guys can head out. Thank you guys, thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
It's a good thing Mr. Harrison is insensitive. Chris, Jody, Joanne, you can go too if you want. Don't feel like you're stuck here.
Mr. Steve, you have to stay. You have to stay.
Anthony's gonna start folding up the chair. There's a seat or two in front.
All right, so last but not least, Mr. Restivo will now do our first budget presentation. I'm sorry, Mr. Restivo, where is he? All right, he left. We'll have Mr. Harrison do it.
I'd like to see Mr. Restivo.
I'd like to thank everybody for the warm introduction. Hope I can live up to the build-up. Without further ado, I'd like to thank the Board of Education, Superintendent, my colleagues, administrators and staff throughout the district that helped bring us to the first budget presentation again tonight. So the agenda is going to start with a revenue discussion, move into some budget accomplishments over the past years, as well as go into the appropriations, first draft of the budget. Then we have two actions coming up in the near future, a capital reserve proposition, as well as a repair reserve public hearing. And then we'll just review the remaining budget timeline. So this is a snapshot of the governor's proposal as it relates to East Islip's state aid. I'd like to start by pointing out that the first total, which reflects a $231,000 increase, is roughly 0.56% increase over the current year's state aid. East Islip is a district that is getting the minimum foundation aid increase across the state, which is 3% or $845,000. So in coming years, the expectation is when foundation aid increases, East Islip would always be getting the minimum allocation. Secondly, I want to point out that the universal pre-K allocation is increasing by $332,000, which is very exciting. It's going to give us the opportunity to increase by 61 slots our universal pre-K student population. UPK is not part of the general fund budget, but it is part of the state aid run that you see here in front of you. The next thing I'd like to point out is building aid. On this run of the governor's budget, it is decreasing by $1.2 million, and that's because the previous bond projects are coming to a close, and state aid is coming to an end. So that's why state aid is decreasing that amount. So again, overall, state aid as it relates to the general fund budget is going down slightly at 0.25%. The largest contribution to our revenue budget is the tax levy, and this screen simplifies the process that each district has to go through to calculate what the allowable tax levy limit is for the 23-24 school year. So very briefly, it starts by the current year's tax levy, which is the $73,673,000. Above that, we're allowed to apply what's called the tax-based growth factor of 1.0027%. And that's an estimate of the building that's going on throughout the East Islip community. And that allows us to raise our taxes by $198,000. Next are pilot payments, which are known as payment in lieu of taxes. There's one property in the East Islip School District that is on a pilot payment, and they're actually converting from the pilot payment to the tax rolls in the future. However, the more pilot money we receive, the less we're able to increase our tax levy. At some point in time in the near future, this pilot payment is going to cease to exist, and then that means we'll be able to replace that revenue source with additional tax levy growth. The next set of numbers is reference to the local share of our capital projects, and that's changing only slightly going into next year for $4,076. So finally, the tax cap is called the 2% tax cap, and this is the small part of the calculation that reflects that 2%. So we're allowed to increase taxes by either the CPI or 2%, whichever number is less. And in this year's case, inflation is at 8%, but the calculation only allows us to go up by 2%. So that really hinders our ability to raise revenue to support the programs in East Islip. So overall, our tax levy limit is 2.18%, which allows us to increase taxes by $1.6 million. Now this 2.18% is the limit. This is the beginning of our discussions, and the board is going to be talking about this number over the next couple of weeks to determine what the final tax levy increase is going to be. But this is the limit that would allow the district to only get a 50% plus one majority at the budget vote to approve that percentage increase. So this bar graph represents the actual allowable tax levy increase versus what we actually levied in any particular year. So if you go back to 2019-20, the tax levy limit was 2.81%. However, the district's decision was to only go out with a 0.8% increase, much below the tax levy limit. The past 2 years, we've been at the tax levy limit, and again, the beginning of our discussion going into this budget process is that 2.18% supports the current budget. So this graph shows the dollars relating to the tax levy. So again, if we look to the 1920 school year, the levy could have been as high as $73.3 million, but because we came in below the cap, the levy was $71,910,000. And again, the 3 years to the far right of the chart, this year, next year, assuming we go to the cap, but the previous 2 years we did. So again, the top line is the levy limit, and the bottom line is what we decided to do as a district for each particular year. So the thing that's somewhat troublesome is when you don't go to the cap in any given year, your base is lower than what it could have been for the next year. So if you're, for instance, in the, I guess it's for the 18-19 school year, we went out with a $71.3 million tax levy. However, we could have went out as high as $76.9 million. The next year when we do that calculation, the 76.9 is not the start of that calculation, it's the 71.3 million. So each year that you don't go to the cap, the gap between what you could do and what you did widens. So for instance, in 23-24, if we go to the cap, we would be a full $8.5 million lower than what we could have done if we went to the cap in all the years represented on this chart. So in terms of the individual tax base and the sample assessment for a home assessed at $40,000, the tax rate for 23-24 would be estimated at $19.80, which would translate to roughly $7,919 in school taxes for the 23-24 school year, which on an annual basis would increase taxes by $169. Now, if you look at this chart, over the 10 years that's represented here, the increase for those full 10 years is 3.7%. Per year, that translates to 0.37%. So the tax levy increase has been minimal to the tax base. So the pie chart here reflects our revenue sources. And as we've said previously, between the tax levy at representing 60% of our revenue and the state aid at another 33%, those are really two driving factors that supports our appropriations budget. Other things I'd like to point out would be in an effort to not tax for the full appropriation budget, right now the revenue budget has appropriated fund balance of $4.2 million to support the budget. So that's money that we're not going to the tax base for. We're taking that out of surplus to help support the budget. There's another $1,077,000 that previous budgets were approved and money was transferred and we weren't spending, or prices came in lower than anticipated, so we're able to return this again to the tax base by lowering the revenue budget by $1,077,000. Some smaller numbers, the $560,000 represents revenue from the before and after school program, and the $987,000 were pilot payments we saw on the previous page. So in order to balance the difference between the revenue budget and the appropriation budget, the district has put forth over $5.2 million in support of the budget. So I'll let everybody, if they want to take a copy of the budget presentation home with them, they can certainly review the initiatives that have been in the budget, not only in prior years, but remain in the budget for the upcoming year. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to just take a look at that. So we're going to flip to the appropriation part of the budget. The first page, which is page 13, I'm going to review is the salary and benefits, comparing the 23-24 budget to the 22-23 budget. Overall salary and benefits are going up 1.61%. I'd like to just talk about some highlights here. On the salaries for the instructional staff, we've had some retirees who have been removed from the budget for next year, being replaced with entry-level salaries. Offsetting that is the contractually obligated increase for the teaching staff. In terms of teacher assistants, we are adding one position to the budget for the cosmetology program. Moving further down, where non-instructional for custodial, maintenance, grounds, and security is an add to staff, a mechanic position, as well as additional security expenditures. So when you look at the salaries in total, they're going down slightly by 0.9%, or $545,000. Offsetting this decrease is the increase in health insurance premiums, which is in the employee benefit category. And the health insurance increase going into next year represents most of that $2 million increase. Premium contributions going up as much as 14% heading into next year. Okay, the other next page, which is kind of small on the screen, I apologize. However, I'll touch upon some of the non-salary increases or decreases. So in terms of equipment, we're going down by $68,000, and that's because in the 22-23 budget, we had a large expenditure for the fitness room equipment. Included in the budget, however, upgrades to the middle school auditorium, air conditioners to support the electric that's being brought into the school, so air conditioners to be placed in every classroom. In addition, we're looking at some additional video monitors. We're looking to buy a maintenance work van, as well as a new tractor. So that makes up the bulk of the equipment spending. Moving to the transportation line, that's increasing slightly next year due to the contract, the 5-year contract with our vendor, and additional anticipated bus runs. Moving down to legal insurance and auditing, that's going up by $57,000, and that's mainly because of the general liability insurance that we maintain. Because of global warming causing more severe and frequent storms, our insurance company has seen an increase in claims that had to be paid. And the same holds true for claims for the Child Victims Act. So both of those are having real world implications in our premium contribution, and that's why that's going up the way it is. The utility line is a difficult one to budget. We are starting to see a benefit from our solar projects, and we're seeing it in a big way. However, the information coming over from PS&G is somewhat difficult to decipher. We did get a large credit this year, but it's for multiple years, so we couldn't really tell what the impact is for one particular year. So I figured after next year washes out, we'll look at that budget line, we should be able to decrease it accordingly. In terms of furniture repair, that number's going down slightly because of the initiative we had to fix unit ventilators. We're making our way through the district, and we don't see as high an expenditure going into 23-24. Next, you'll notice a large decrease in the textbook line. Over the past 2 years, we've made some major investments in new textbook series. Now that that's done, we're returning back to our normal annual textbook expense of around $221,000. And that's the amount that will get state aided on. So for every dollar we spend up to that $221,000, we get back in state aid on the revenue side. BOCES expense is going up next year. One, due to increased technology spending and staffing, but also we moved from one budget line to another expenditures associated with our technology plan. So that's why that's going up by the number it is, and there's partly being offset by the decrease on the interfund transfer line. So overall, our budget first draft is going up by 0.81%, or $1,006,222 compared to last year. The next two slides look at each particular area of expense and compare it to the total. So for instance, for salary and benefits, you see that it represents 73.63% of our total budget, which is common and normal, and if you look at every district across the state, they'll have very similar numbers. So these are the rest of the categories on a percent contribution basis. So also on the May ballot is a proposition to appropriate $2 million from capital reserve. Currently, the capital reserve, which was approved by the voters in May of 2016, there's a balance of $2 million. In order for us to access that money, we have to go to a public vote. What we're attempting to do with that $2 million is to complete the district-wide interior door project that's being primarily funded through the bond project. However, we find ourselves towards the end of that project with money that needs to be appropriated from the reserve to complete it. If at the end of both projects we have money remaining, we look to do some additional exterior doors and make further security enhancements. Also, next board meeting, we intend to have a public hearing to spend money out of our repair reserve. So both the capital reserve and repair reserve are items that are not part of the budget because we're using our money on reserve in a way that we don't have to raise taxpayer rates by the amounts that we're providing through this process. So the voters approved the repair reserve in 2019. Currently has a balance of $3.8 million. In order to spend money from this reserve, we're required to do a public hearing. And the scope of the project will be smaller in nature. We'll only intend to spend a fraction of the $3.8 million to repair the tennis court at the middle school, some concrete repairs at the Connecticut Elementary School. We're anticipating some high school gym floor repairs, the repair to the floor that we're here today sitting on, as well as repainting of the middle school track. So again, I want to re-emphasize that these are funds that we don't have to go to the taxpayer for, nor increase the budget for, because we have them on reserve and we're making use of those funds. So this table just represents the changes over the past 10 years or so. And over the past 5 years, the increase to the levy averages 1.08%, including the 2.18% being currently forecasted for next year. So there may be some changes to dates and times, and look to the website for those updates. However, our next presentation will be in approximately two weeks. It will include the repair reserve public hearing. April 18th, we will have our budget adoption along with our presentation number 3. We have a required meeting that we have to present again the budget on May 2nd. And finally, we have the May 16th budget vote. So at this point, I'd like to take any questions or comments from the Board of Education.
Steve, can we go back to slide 3 again, please? That number, the building aid number, that was expected, right, when we did the bond?
Yes, that was expected because we did work with our fiscal advisors. We do know that the aid that we were receiving on the prior projects, which go back quite a few years, are coming to a close. State aid is paid over 15 years, So that's what we're seeing here with this decrease is those projects no longer being aided going into next year. So
Is that number gonna, is there a prediction of where that number's gonna be next year?
I am forecasting in the budget roughly $400,000 more than that number because the information that we here have in the district is more recent than the governor had when she crafted her budget with the November database.
Okay.
So,
So that number is gonna change as well?
yes.
What about in 24, 25? Is that, will our building aid go up in response to the news bond, or will it still be reflecting the other bond?
Well, that's probably reflected in the numbers here,
Okay.
but it will continue to be reflected with projects as they come to a close. State aid starts when projects are closed, so of our $59 million bond project, we're down to the last 5 or 10%. So all the projects that have already been closed, they're generating state aid and are part of that number.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Steve, on slide 8, we listed 10 and 11 years of tax increases and decreases. Those are the actual numbers that they increased and decreased, right? That wasn't what the board approved necessarily, because each year that changes, doesn't it?
Well, there's more beyond the numbers set by the board. There are changes in the tax base that go into these numbers. So these are the final tax rates that were applied to the East Islip homeowners. So for instance, if assessed values go up, everything else being equal, the tax rate would be lower than anticipated. And also if there's a shift from the homestead proportion to the non-homestead proportion, that will also cause a change in those tax rates.
Just a quick addition there. So on the average house that's assessed at $40,000, over 10 years their taxes are $114 more. If you add up all those numbers, the pluses and minuses.
I believe they're a little more, that's about 200 change. But the percentage over those 10 years is 0.37% on average per year.
I see that you broke down as far as salaries and benefits. And what was the medical going up?
14%.
Do you know what that number is offhand?
It's $2 million.
So the medical loan is going up $2 million, but the tax levy increase that you have in your budget is a $1.6 million increase. So that doesn't even cover the medical.
That's correct.
Thank you.
All good.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Is that all you got, Paulie?
So we have.
Is that enough?
Mr. Dolan's not here, and it was an hour of Mr. Manzo's superintendent report.
But I gotta tell you, it was one of the best superintendent reports we've had. I mean, starting with the kids, with the play, and the academics, you got robotics, you got the Lego kids, the wrestling team, the sports,
music,
back to the arts kids. It's amazing the talent that we have here in East Islip. And I know they're not here anymore, they're all in bed by the time Mr. Harrison got done with his presentation. But what a great job tonight by all those kids. Just so proud to be here for that and to see them and hear about all their accomplishments. And that's what it's about. I know every district thinks that they have great kids, but our kids are better. What a great job they did. They really are. I mean, it's amazing. Starting out with Affeld's kids for the play, and I can't wait to go see that play. I try to go every year. It's such an amazing performance by all the kids, and right down to the state champ in wrestling and the Lego kids. And what a great night. So, Mr. Manzo, great superintendent's report.
Thank you.
Top off by Mr. Harris.
That's all this, the team,
Yes,
the team did.
So,
Thank you.
So, thank you. Good stuff. Public comments on agenda items. Do we have any public comments?
We're good.
Yeah, that's it. Public comments. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the resignations, terminations, leave of absence, position abolition, employment appointments, tenure appointments, and salary changes in accordance with applicable provisions of education law and civil service law as cited in the certified personnel attachments. Give a motion.
Motion.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the resignations, terminations, leaves of absence, position abolitions, employment appointments, tenure appointments, and salary changes in accordance with applicable provisions of education law and civil service law as cited in the non-certified personnel attachments. Give a motion.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain. Be resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, recommends the Board of Education approves the consent agenda items 9-1 through 9-19 in accordance with the action presented for each item. Give a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda passes. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education approves the attached list of appropriation changes for the 2022-2023 school years. Take a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Old business. Anybody have any old business? No old business. New business.
Two things. The first one, again, building on what you were saying, Chris, about the kids here in the district. Last night I had the opportunity to attend JFK's talent show. The kids were phenomenal. It was a great show to see. Mr. Manzo, Dr. Rourke were also in attendance there. It was a great event to see. And then earlier in the week I got to witness the rehearsals for the talent show at RCK. Again, the kids did a great job. I'm looking forward to seeing that one as well. Just one other note that I wanted to mention as far as events go. On March 22nd, here in this room from 6:30 to 8, SEPTO is having their East Islip Community Resource Fair. This is a good fair for parents to come down and check out. Childcare will be provided for parents that need it. It's actually going to be provided across the hall, the gymnasium. So I just encourage parents to come down and check it out. So, thank you.
I just wanted to thank Mr. Manzo. On Monday, he took me on a tour of the middle school, the high school, and then we went out to the maintenance barn. But it was really nice to go through the schools and see all the things that are going on in each of the buildings there. The most impressive thing was every kid I saw was smiling, having a good time. Kids in the classroom were working on things. It was just a really good, positive vibe in both the buildings. I went up to see the robotics, the other lab. What's that other lab called? No, the one where they were making the keychains or whatever. I forget. They have another lab up there. The technology guys, Mr. Connell, Mr. Lackner. It was just amazing. It was something I'm very proud of. The cosmetology suite, fantastic. And then I went out to the new maintenance barn that I saw is finally gone and almost completed. And I wanted to ask, since Anthony's here, do you like everything that's going on out there? Is that what you wanted?
Yeah, I mean, we wanted a little bit bigger one, but it's fine the way it is.
Okay.
It turned out to be really nice.
Nothing we can do about it now.
It's almost done, right? It's going to be done, they said, by end of April?
By May, we should have it.
All right, good. So it was a really good tour. I'm glad I did it. And thank you again, Mr. Menzo.
Also, this weekend, FTK is having their gala. I think, last I saw, there was a few tickets left, not many. So if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, I mean, this is really one of the this is the party of the year. So unfortunately, I'm going to be missing. I'm going to be away. And so I apologize to FTK because I love that party. So if you haven't gotten your FTK tickets, I would do it tonight because I'm telling you, the baskets there are amazing. It's a great time, great people. So if you haven't gotten your tickets yet to the FTK gala, please do it. If you wait till Saturday, you're not going to be able to go. So, any other new business?
I just want to thank Mr. Manzo on the consent agenda.
We're starting up the foster grandparent program again. Mr. Manzo looked into it further, and it's going to be starting up again. And I think it's very great for the kids in the elementary schools.
Thank you. That's a credit to Dr. O'Rourke. She really did the legwork and work with the organization. Thank you, Dr. O'Rourke. Just one thing for our end is just a reminder: the repair reserve hearing will be held at the next board meeting, and Mr. Zachary will go ahead and show us when the next meeting is.
Yes, on the calendar, I believe it's 3:30, but we're going to have to move that to the 29th, just the day before the 29th. So the next board, I guess we'll announce that. Which we're at that point almost anyway, because I have some inside knowledge. Do we have any other new business? Stephanie?
Yes. No.
Anybody sign up? No?
I'm not on this meeting, no.
Do you want to talk, Stephanie?
Not really.
Okay. No public comments. Unfortunately, I guess Ms. Vecchio misses these business meetings here with the great news that we give out. So I was looking forward to seeing her, but unfortunately she's not.
This was an old time meeting,
Yes.
Yeah.
The good old days.
right? Good old days.
Usually comes in April.
Everyone's just happy. Sometimes they're not. Okay, the next Board of Education regular business meeting and budget presentation number 2.
Get
Can't
ready,
wait.
folks.
All ears. Will be held on Wednesday, March 29th at 2023. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Everybody have a good night. Safe home.